Hola amigos y bienvenidos a la clase introductoria de razonamiento verbal, una propuesta de IEI High School. El día de hoy tocaremos temas bases de razonamiento verbal, cómo entenderlo y algunas técnicas para poder superarlo de manera exitosa. The topics that we are going to be covering in today's lesson are the following. First, what is verbal reasoning? Second, the importance of verbal reasoning. Third, what skills and knowledge do you need for verbal reasoning tests, such as TOEFL, GRE, SAT, and so on? 4. Tips for passing a verbal reasoning test. And fifth, how can we improve our verbal reasoning skills? Without further ado, let's get into the lesson. First, what is verbal reasoning? Verbal reasoning is, in a nutshell, thinking with words. It is understanding and reasoning using concepts framed in words. It also aims at evaluating the ability to think constructively, rather than at simple fluency or vocabulary recognition. Problem solving around words. Thinking about text, following written instructions and deciphering a solution. Understanding letter sequences and decoding letter-based codes are some examples of verbal reasoning question types. Verbal reasoning exams are intended to test the person's ability to understand and reason using words, and are a test of skills rather than of learned knowledge. Second, the importance of verbal reasoning. Verbal reasoning is important both in children and adults alike. Developing your verbal reasoning skills will allow you to become socially independent and succeed in your professional life later on. Having verbal reasoning skills will allow you to develop qualities such as perception, understanding, and solving complicated subject questions, empathy, and logical reasoning, as well as ensuring you have a great vocabulary. According to many research, people perform best in verbal reasoning tests if they are readers and have an extensive vocabulary. They also need a solid grasp of synonyms, words that have the same meaning, and antonyms, words that mean the opposite of each other, and plurals, good spelling skills, and so on. You also have to be aware that a piece of good general knowledge is needed for verbal reasoning tests. Third, what skills and knowledge do you need for verbal reasoning test? Even if you understand the question and can follow the written directions, if one of the possible words in the answer is unfamiliar to you, it may confuse you and therefore lead you to the wrong answer. For that reason, one of the most important skills for overcoming verbal reasoning tests is having a wide vocabulary. How we can improve our verbal reasoning skills. One of the best ways to encourage people to develop their verbal reasoning skills is to encourage them to read. Reading will not only increase their vocabulary, but they will learn to interpret words and understand comprehension. Other ways to help people develop their verbal reasoning skills are playing word games, understanding synonyms and antonyms, spotting odd words out and finding word replacements. Word searches and crosswords are a great way for people to spot new words and find answers to riddles. Challenge yourself to learn 10 new words per week and test them. Have a small reward for when you achieve your goal. Of course, learning new vocabulary doesn't have to be boring or tedious for you. Encourage yourself to write histories. This could be anything from something you have done or would like to do. Creative fiction based on a book you have read, or strange and mysterious tales using your imagination. Improve your general knowledge, learn interesting facts, visit museums, play science games, take nature walks. There are plenty of ways to learn something new every day. Play word games and quizzes, for example, spotting the odd one out from a list of words, giving a synonym or antonym for a word, solving anagrams. Also, you can do crosswords or word searches, like playing Hangman, Scrabble, or Bookle. In a nutshell, those are the things that I've used in order to increase my vocabulary and master my verbal reasoning skills. Currently, many universities in the world are asking students to take any of those verbal reasoning tests in order to be accepted in the university. Two of the most common are SAT and GRE. Although those exams are kind of difficult, they are not impossible to overcome. However, it requires a lot of practice to getting used to it and master all the topics that you will need. Tips for passing a verbal reasoning test. The first one is read and reread each piece of the text. Sometimes, verbal reasoning test passages are written in a very complex and convoluted language. Small assumptions can catch you out, so be careful and read each passage 2 or 3 times to make sure you understand what's being said and not being said before you answer. It's also vital to read the instructions thoroughly, so don't miss any vital information. The second one is don't make assumptions. You don't have to allow general knowledge or real life experiences to prove or disprove a statement. You must take the information you are presented with literally. If something is not included in the passage, you cannot let it affect your decision making process when answering questions on a verbal reasoning test. Third, manage your time. Note how long the assessment will last and how many questions you need to answer within that time. Then calculate how much time you have for each question. Generally, in the GRE and SAT, as a rule of thumb, you'll have 1 minute and 30 seconds for each question. However, it could change depending on your strategy. Practice in the right format. If you're going to take your real verbal reasoning test online, then make sure to complete your practice test online. Read on screen can take longer than on paper, and it's important to getting used to it before the exam. That applies for any online exam like GRE, SAT, or the TOEFL test. Fifth, improve your English as a second language. If English is your second language, then it stands to reason that you may find it very complicated to deal with verbal reasoning tests. For you, practice is even more important because you have to get in use of English as a second language and then develop your skills in order to overcome the test. From my perspective, one of the most effective ways of improving your verbal reasoning skills is reading. You can try reading articles in English newspapers or magazines like National Geographic, The Economist, The Guardian, or The New York Times. To conclude, some people are naturally very good at verbal reasoning, while others require some more practice in order to get better at it. Whichever the case may be, you need to always practice in order to improve and master all the skills necessary to overcome this test. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share the video with your friends. Be sure to watch the other videos of the channel since they are very interesting. That's it for today's lesson. Thank you guys. Bye.